It's the most wonderful time of the year. I'm talking, of course, about VinePair's 50 Best Spirits of 2023. I'm Tim McKirdy, Managing Editor at VinePair, and today we're going to explore the top 5 bottles from the list. Before we do though, viewer, I have an important question to ask you today. Do you like spirits reviews, wine reviews, cocktail recipes, bar recommendations, or beer podcasts? Because if the answer to any of the above questions is yes, then you know what you gotta do. You gotta do yourself a favor and do me a favor and click subscribe to stay on top of all of VinePair's amazing YouTube content. Before we dive into the 5 top bottles from this year's list, I want to talk about the process a little bit. This is something that starts not in December when it publishes, not in November, not even in October. The process begins in January. We start tasting and reviewing bottles from the most popular categories of spirits. I'm talking about your bourbons, your ryes, your American whiskeys in general, gin, tequila, mezcal, cognac. It all begins in January, and we taste those bottles throughout the year. We publish our favorites in our very popular buying guides, which you can find in a link somewhere down below. We'll link to those for you. We taste a massive long list of spirits, and we start whittling it down. Finally, we're able to come here to you today. We've published the list online already. Again, we're going to be linking that one, but we're able to come to you today here in video and taste our 5 favorite spirits of 2023. Are you excited? Should we get into this? Let's do it. All right, number 5 on the list here, and I'm going to let you into a little secret, a little spoiler alert. This is the highest ranked unaged spirit this year. So everything that comes after, it spends some time in barrel, but this is a truly special spirit. This is Legendario, Domingo, Oaxaca, Espadín. It's a mezcal. People like to think of mezcal as being tequila's smoky cousin. I think that's a good way to describe mezcal, but it's overly reductive. If you've heard that about mezcal, something else you might have heard too, Espadín. The variety that this mezcal is made from, people often describe it as the workhorse variety in mezcal. It doesn't have a lot of character. It's a cultivated variety. It's not as interesting as some wild and rare varieties that take 10, 12, 25 years to grow. That's simply not true. Espadín is so much more than a workhorse. It can have character, it can be fruity, it can have complexity. That's why this bottle made it to number 5 on the list. All right, it's the fun part now, the exciting part. We're gonna dive in, we're gonna taste this mezcal. And off the bat, I gotta say, this is incredible. This is a tropical scented spirit. Imagine all the things that are gonna go great with pineapple in some of your favorite Mexican dishes. I'm thinking carnitas here. I'm thinking cilantro, fragrant herbs, maybe some basil in there as well. This spirit happens to be bottled at, I want to say 46 or 48% ABV. I'm getting none of the burn of that alcohol on the palate. I can't taste the alcohol. But what that serves to do is to really give you more depth on the palate, more range of flavor. And even as I'm talking now, those flavors, that tropical fruit character is still singing all the way onto the finish. I can still taste it right now. Like I said, this is a phenomenal mezcal. Number 5 on the list, Legendario Domingo, Oaxaca Espadín. Cheers. All right, now we're going to move into that aged spirits territory like we teased. It's going to be the next 4, starting with Scotch whiskey. Somewhere close to my heart, from Scotland originally, just put that one out there, but different than a lot of Scotch that you might be familiar with. There's a lot to get into with this bottle, but let's start with the name. This is Glenglassaugh. This is Sandend Highland single malt. Let's just say that again though, Glenglassaugh. It's not like the English might say, they might go Glenglassaugh, or the Americans, the Yanks out there might go Glenglassaugh. This is Scottish, it's Glenglassaugh. If you look on the label, there's a couple of things that you're not gonna see and a couple of things that you are gonna see, and they are notable for us to talk about today. You can't see anywhere on here an age statement. There isn't one, and the distillery hasn't provided us with one. And guess what? We don't need it, because looking only at age statements as a signifier of quality That's boring. Again, that's reductive. You don't want to be doing that. There is a number, however, on this label that's much more important to me as a spirits reviewer, as someone who enjoys drinking Scotch. That's the alcohol content, which is higher than most single malt Scotches or Scotch in general tends to come in at. Normally you're looking at somewhere between 40 to 43% ABV. You might be lucky if you get a 46. We're above 50 here. And what that's translating to, once again, is concentration of flavor and aromas. Glenglassaugh is one of these distilleries that exists in this really nice in-between space. Coastal single malt will often, but sometimes be peated or lightly peated and smoky. Whereas your Highland single malts are going to be rich, fruity, dare I say it, maybe a little bit more approachable to most drinkers. Glenglassaugh as a distillery and Sandend single malt as a product, they exist in this beautiful sweet spot between the two. This has got the richness of a Highland malt, but some of the complexity and salty, the salinity, the sea sprays of a coastal draft. Let's confirm that. Let's taste it. Woo! Yes. I'm not just saying this because I just said this, but exactly what we're talking about there. It's got the richness of the Highland character there. It's fruity. There's a sweetness to the nose. Imagine like a malt syrup or the malt beverages you can buy. There's that underlying sweetness to this whiskey. But then once again, we're going off in this incredible place of, and I don't know how, I don't know why, but we're heading into this tropical fruit category again. It starts out as these aromas of like dried apricots, fresh stone fruits, but really ripe. And then just slowly, we're going off into some slightly underripe pineapple here. I'm getting some dried mangoes, those mango snacks that you get and you chew on, and they're supposed to be healthy and you keep eating them and you're like, why isn't this filling me up? I don't know, but I'm getting that on the nose here. And really, this thing is drawing me onto the palate already. So let's do it, let's taste it. What we're done here, what's happened here is we've gone from that fruity, tropical, slightly sweet, rich nose onto a palate that just comes in with so much concentration. Once again, there's depth to this whiskey, malty complexity, there's age to this, but so alive, great concentration. Glenglassaugh. This is the first year, I'd say 2023, this is a new packaging, it's a new release from the distillery. I love the packaging upgrade, and this is a fantastic release. On to bottle number 3 now, dare I say, the business end of the spectrum, the business end of the ranking. Here's what I've got to level with you, just a little bit. I don't want to say that it's going to be impossible to get your hands on a bottle of the Four Roses 135th anniversary limited edition small batch. I don't want to say that because I don't want to believe that. Everything that Four Roses basically put out was almost all of it was sold as part of the lottery. You had to enter the lottery in September before they went on sale, and then you either won or you lost. So before this thing even went out there, almost all of it was sold. And then the rest, which did make it to retail, that's going to be like the hardest bourbons to come across of the year. Just because it's hard to find doesn't mean, however, that we shouldn't be honoring its existence today and here in the top 50 list. One thing we do know about this release though, it's a range of 12 to 25-year-old distillates. That's a lot. So those are the facts. Let's get into the tasting. There's a lovely cherry note to this, where it's like cherry oak, cherry sweetness, tart cherry, chocolate covered cherry, the whole range of the cherry spectrum. Another thing to note too as well, the aromas are really intense. They're wafting out the glass, but I'm not getting alcohol, I'm not getting ethanol, and crucially, it's not burning my nostrils when I'm nosing this. It's important to note that too, because this is a 54% ABV bourbon, and again, I'm getting none of the heat of my nostrils there. All I'm getting is that cherry straight up, but then richness, some of the richness you come to expect from bourbon, whether it's toffee, butterscotch, brown sugar syrup, maybe even just a little bit verging into treacle or molasses territory. Not fully, but just a hint of it there. Oh wow. Yeah, on the palate, that is such a special bourbon. Fruits and fresh fruit, some fruit freshness even. we're transitioning into some of the oak tannins, but not too much, because again, this has components up to 2 decades old, but it's not all drying oak tannins. It's more of a slightly toasty seasoning, which is really nice. That builds out the mid palate. And then on the end, I'm getting sweet baking spices. Fantastic stuff. Wonderful release, worth honoring today. Time to leave the whiskey space now and head over to rum, specifically Jamaican Caribbean rum. This is Appleton Estate, 21 years old, Nassau Valley Casks. Nassau Valley, that's where the legendary Appleton Estate distillery is. This is a lush, humid, green, vibrant environment. So this bottle here is 21 years old, minimum, that is the minimum age of the liquid in this rum. It's very easy for spirits of this age, for rums of this age, to get ahead of themselves, to become too woody, to feel flat and flabby on the palate. That's not the case with this 21-year release from Appleton. 21-year-old releases are not that common. They are common in terms of expressions that exist, but getting your hands on them can be tough. They can be tough to find, especially in American whiskey, slightly less so in Scotch and maybe cognac. Another thing to note is the MSRP comes in at around $150. I've actually seen this thing listed for less than that, but very regularly it will not exceed that. As I'm smelling this, I'm going, this is exactly what I expect from this. If ever a spirit smelled how it looked, this is it. Imagine what that kind of sweetness might present itself on the nose. That's what it is there. I don't know whether that makes sense, but there's fruit character to it as well. We get some of that. You ate a banana for lunch, you left it on the plate. Shame on you, you should have discarded it. But you left it out there. That black banana peel is there. There's an astringency to it, but there's also like a sweet tropical fruitiness. There's a grassiness to this as well. And just a lot of depth again. Wow, incredible richness of flavor, incredible depth, once again. Forget what I spoke about earlier when it comes to Scotch and bourbon and that ABV being the most important, or one of the most important things when it comes to concentration of flavor. What we have here is such a rich base distillate. The producer, they're able to proof that down to 43% ABV, and because they had such a rich base product, you're not suffering any lack of concentration or intensity. Appleton 21, Nassau Valley Casks, this is a stalwart. This thing is always going to be there for you. It's number 2 on our spirits list this year. I'm very excited to be drinking this today. So we've arrived at that moment. We've arrived at the crucial point today, number 1 spirit of 2023. I haven't gotten bigger, don't worry. This is a small bottle. This is a small sample bottle. This is the Eagle Rare 17 release. It's part of the 2023 Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. This is a bottle that we've covered pretty extensively throughout the year here at VinePair. You might be familiar with my colleague David Thomas Tow's extended whiskey review.
I scored this 97 points. I think this might be the bourbon of the year, from my perspective.
Eagle Rare 17 is a bottle that, for all of us here at VinePair, stood out from first taste this year, and it remained and lasted longer in our memories than any other spirit. We're not just celebrating age for the sake of a whiskey or a spirit being old. It's about what that spirit is able to achieve at that age. And oftentimes, especially in the case of American whiskey, it's up against the odds. What it's been able to achieve despite some of the environmental factors. Because again, Kentucky whiskey, when you start to get 19 years and 3 months, the oak character can really take over. All it can be is this oak balm with tannic astringency on the palate. Buffalo Trace, they did something phenomenal this year. This batch that they put out, they found that, again, incredible sweet spot between the classic bourbon sweetness profile we're looking for, between some of the baking spices and other incredible vanillin components that come from the charred American oak that is a requirement of bourbon aging, but also the tertiary or oxidative notes that come in, nuttiness. Again, maybe some of that potpourri, that je ne sais quoi character that makes the highest age releases so special and so unique. It's a shame I'm not going to be tasting this again anytime soon. If you were able to get hold of a bottle yourself, or if you come across a bottle A, you're very lucky. B, snap that thing up straight away. Pay what you have to pay what you're able to pay. Do your whiskey drinking friends the right thing and share with them. Share pours of this special bourbon because it's an incredible release. The bourbon's there to be drunk. All spirits are there to be drunk. It was the year of Eagle Rare, a great year for highly aged Jamaican rum, for special edition anniversary bourbons, for scotches that break the mold of age statements and come out swinging with beautiful new packaging, and for mezcals that like to shake up the status quo. So that was 2023 for us here at VinePair. Consider this our 2023 spirits wrapped. But what about yourself, viewer? What did 2023 look like for yourself as a spirits drinker? Were there any standout mezcals? Did you have a favorite scotch, rum, cognac maybe? Let's talk about all the other styles that aren't in this top 5 today. Let us know in the comments. Hit like. You've already hit subscribe already. Thank you very much. Leave us a comment. We'll hash it out there. Until next time, I'm Tim McKirdy, managing editor at VinePair, and I've enjoyed spending these past couple of minutes with you chatting about the top spirits of 2020.